Greetings, and welcome to Today in Trek, our daily show about what has, is, and will happen in the world of Trek. It's January 6th, and our guest host is Senior Fleet Admiral Kethma Zunmyagya. Admiral Kethma is presenting today's show from the mezzanine level on Earth's space dock at the Remembrance Memorial. Today's episode is brought to you by a slice of whole wheat toast with peanut butter and honey. Mom does not live by coffee alone, not that I haven't tried. It's homemade bread, so drop a note if you'd like the recipe. By the way, if you've got a favorite coffee vendor who also contributes to the greater good, let me know and I'll give them a try and a shout out. On to Today in Trek. Birthdays first, kinda. There are a lot of birthdays for January 6th. Maury Russell, Victor Tabak, Robert Varderman, Bruce Patterson, Javier Grajeda, Patrick Clancy, John DeMita, Nancy Regan, Jules Kovasars, Vincenzo Natali, Jill Sayer, Jenna Wilson, Mike Tsoukalis, Shane Sweet, and Daniel Paget. All were born on this day, and while their lives had an impact on Trek, there was one birthday that affected the series and the fans more than any other. But we'll get to that person a little bit later. In Trek series on this day, the TNG episode New Ground premiered on this day in 1992. In this episode, Worf's son Alexander joins his father on the Enterprise. While much of the plot focuses on Alexander's acclimation to the ship, Worf's realization that he doesn't know diddly about his son, and the typical new father tropes, there's also an interesting B-plot about the development of the Soliton wave as a potential new form of propulsion. As you would expect, there's a problem with the Soliton wave generators, the ship is damaged, Alexander is the one place in the ship where he shouldn't be at the moment, but has to be for the sake of drama. Anyway, Worf saves Alexander, the wave goes back to the lab for further development, and Worf and Alexander figure out how to get along, at least until the next story. The DS9 episode, The Darkness and the Light, was first shown on this date in 1997. In 1999, the DS9 episode Prodigal Daughter premieres. Described as reviewers as not so much bad as it was boring, it's an attempt to build a backstory for Ezri Dax, but gets overly enveloped with the secondary plot regarding Chief O'Brien's attempt to find the widow of a friend he befriended while undercover. Nonetheless, the episode was nominated for an Emmy for Outstanding Art Direction. The Prodigy episode Kobayashi premiered on this date in 2022. The story revolves around Gwyn and Dal, each trying to better understand their roles on the Protostar, but it's truly notable for its use of audio clips from multiple Star Trek episodes. Clips of Spock, Uhura, Odo, and Scotty were used, along with the voices of Gates McFadden, reprising her role as Dr. Beverly Crusher, and Robert Beltran as Chakotay. The Pocket Books novel, The Brave and the Bold, Book 2, by Keith R.A. Candido, was released in 2003. The Star Trek Mirror Universe short story anthology, Shard and Shadows, was released in 2009. In 2016, IDW Publishing released issue number 2 of Starfleet, Starfleet Academy. On a sad note, on January 6, 1996, Kevin Smith died. He was the director of photography for the TOS episode By Any Other Name. Author Stephen Edward Poe died in 2000. He was the author of the first behind-the-scenes look at Star Trek, The Making of Star Trek. The book was published under his pen name, Stephen E. Whitfield. The book is filled with technical information as well as behind-the-scenes stories of the authors, actors, scripts, sets, and the internal politics of the show. If you're a TOS aficionado, the book is a must-have. Trek History of the Future. Star Trek Countdown, Section 31 is scheduled to go live in 18 days. In the U.S. and in some international locations, it will be shown on Paramount Plus. Wherever Paramount Plus services, they should have the show. If we get more information about other streaming services, we'll let you know. Star Trek Online updates. The universal for today and tomorrow is Gamma Quadrant skirmishes. Oh, joy! Unless you have Herc frigates for an endeavor, then you're golden. As I said earlier, January 6th is the anniversary date of many Trek-related people, but there was one person who was near and dear to the hearts of Trekkies and Trek gamers alike. On January 6th, 1969, Aaron Eisenberg was born. Beginning his acting career in the late 1980s, Aaron worked in dozens of television series, but is best known to Trekkies for his role of Nog in DS9. Like so many characters in DS9, Nog's character arc was executed over the span of the series, starting as a bit of a petty thief, evolving into Jake Sisko's friend, Keiko's student, a talented negotiator, and eventually a respected Starfleet officer. Unlike many stories in Star Trek, where the events of one episode are forgotten before the next one starts, the writers of DS9 took the time needed to allow for a significant event that affected a character to carry across multiple episodes. In the episode The Siege of AR-558, Nog is injured and loses his leg. The episode that followed was a rarity in Trek at the time, a follow-up story that lets the characters deal with the trauma of a previous episode. It's Only a Paper Moon was intended to be a story with two comic main plots and the subplot about Nog's addressing his emotional and physical recovery from the loss of his leg. The depth of that story, however, outweighed the lighter main plots and became a story of, as author David Mack put it, PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Essentially, Nog had confronted the truth of his own mortality, and it had destroyed his youthful illusions about being invulnerable and about the glory or heroism of warfare. Adding to the uniqueness of the story was the fact that the primary focus was not on the main entourage of characters, but on Nog and Vic Fontaine. Aaron's portrayal of the traumatized Ferengi and his gradual emotional recovery is one of the finer moments in DS9, and demonstrated Aaron's acting talent in the difficult role. The episode was a favorite of Aaron's. To quote him, "I was honored. It was my biggest episode in all 7 seasons. I was working every day, and I was in almost every scene. I had a ball. They trusted that James Darren and I could carry an episode, and I gave it everything I had. I played Nog differently than I had before, because he was in a different place in his mind. He wasn't the gung-ho soldier anymore. Now his goals were blurred, and he was on this downward spiral because of fear." According to Aaron, his favorite scene is when Nog breaks into tears. To quote him, "It wasn't written that way. The script just said that Nog gets emotional. When we were ready to shoot, I realized that I had to cry. It was the defining moment of what the episode was all about. You finally see what's inside that's gotten Nog to this point. Up until then, you don't know why he was behaving that way. I grew that day as an actor." After DS9 finished production, Aaron continued working in a number of television shows and movies, including reprising his role as Nog in Star Trek Online, beginning with Time in a Bottle, then returning for the Gamma Quadrant arc, better known as DS9 Season 8. Unlike many voice actors, Aaron was also an avid gamer and played Star Trek Online prior to his appearance as Nog in the episodes he voiced. In 2015, Aaron appeared in a Twitch livestream with Cryptic developer Al Rivera and played through the mission that he had voiced, Time in a Bottle. In addition to his work as an actor, Aaron was a podcaster and hosted the podcast The Seventh Rule. Aaron passed away on September 21st, 2019. He was remembered after his passing with the Eisenberg-class ship in Star Trek Online, and a flyby of an Eisenberg-class ship named the USS Nog in the Discovery episode Die Trying. We will miss Aaron, so it's only fit we end this episode with his words. "I'll always carry that love for the show with me, wherever I go. And when I get to go to Star Trek conventions and meet the fans, and they say how much they love the show, and then I see their kids that are 10 going, 'Oh, Nog's great. I love Nog.' I'm like, man, look at this. I'm part of this. I will forever be a part of this, and no one can take that away from me. So when you ask me what I've left behind, I can't think I've left anything behind, because it's still here with me every day." Take care, everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow.